Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd share with you my birth story. I've just had my fourth baby, who is a little boy called Henry George. So I thought I'd share with you what happened when I had him. I didn't have a chance to film anything. I was planning on filming a few clips here and there, but it all happened so fast, as I'll tell you in a minute, that I didn't really even have a chance to even think about filming. So yeah, I've got no footage. I've got a couple of photos that I'll add in, like over me talking and that, and then I'll show you him at the end. So as I said, he was my fourth baby. I have 3 girls already. I have Chloe, who's now 13, Abby, who is coming up to 10, Lola, who is 3, and then Henry. With all the girls, they were all late. I had Chloe was 2 weeks late, Abby was 2-3 days late, and then Lola was a week late, I think. And with all of them, I needed to have the Pitocin drip to get my contractions started because my body didn't really contract properly. Yeah, they was all late, and then I needed help to get going with all of them. And with this birth, I wanted to be able to go up to the birth centre, which I managed to do. And I wanted to do hypnobirthing. I'd been doing it a little bit. I'd followed the Positive Birth Company's online course, so I've done some videos to teach me the breathing techniques and just all the information. I'll leave their link down below because they were really good. So yeah, I wanted a bit more of a natural birth this time. My births the time before, like I said, I was on the drip. With Abby, I had to have surgery after because I tore really badly, so they weren't the best of births. So this one, where it was my last one, I wanted it to be how I wanted it to be. Obviously you can't guarantee that things go your way, but I was looking at doing hypnobirthing and going up to the birth centre. Also with this birth, with Henry's birth, it was a week before the official lockdown because of the global pandemic that's going on of the coronavirus. So it was literally the week before, but the social distancing had already started. So I think the day that I had him, which was Monday the 16th of March, was the day that they started putting in some restrictions. He was only allowed one birth partner, which I was having anyway, which was my husband Chris, and there was no visitors allowed at the hospital. So the girls, once I'd had him, my daughters or anyone weren't allowed to come and visit at the hospital. Moving on to the birth. So 3 weeks prior to having him, so from about 37 weeks, I'd already started getting really strong Braxton Hicks. They was a lot more stronger than normal Braxton Hicks. And some days I was having them like 10 minutes apart all day, and I'd think, oh, is this it? Then it would come to the evening, I'd go to sleep and they'd stop. I'd wake up the next day and it would carry on. Literally most days for 3 weeks running, I was having contractions all the time. And then he ended up being late. So he ended up going 10 days over. I had 2 sweeps, one at 40 weeks, one at 41 weeks to try and get him started. The sweep at 40 weeks, I had contractions after and I had a show. But then, like I said, I had another one at 41 weeks because he still wasn't here. That one did absolutely nothing. I think I had that on like the Wednesday or Thursday. Then on Saturday the 14th was when my proper contractions started. They was a lot stronger than the ones I'd been having, but still not that strong. So I had them all day on the Saturday. They stopped at bedtime when I went to bed. Woke up Sunday morning and they carried on, and I had them all day, like irregular contractions, like every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. I remember eating my roast dinner, like Chris was like, should I cook the roast dinner or not? And I was like, oh, I'll just do it because nothing's happening. They was like gone down to every 20 minutes or something by then. But we managed to get our last roast dinner in. Then I went to bed Sunday night and they were waking me up in the night, the contractions. You know, like when you think that you're dreaming it, but then you think that it's in your dream that you're having the contractions, but it's actually in real life waking you up. So yeah, I had them all through the night. And then I woke up Monday morning, still getting contractions. I was having more of a show come in, so I had a lot of that. And I was being induced on the Monday anyway. So we took the girls to school, took Lola to my mother-in-law's house so that she could look after her. We let her have the day off school because she has to be picked up at lunchtime, so it wasn't worth it. So we went into hospital. We got there about 9 o'clock. I had to be monitored for about half an hour. So they monitored me on the machine, just checked all his heartbeat. I had to press a button every time he moved. They said that was all fine. And then they took me through to the induction room where they was going to start the induction. They was going to give me Dilapan, I think it's called, which is a natural induction, where they just put little rods in and they expand and make you dilate. So, but she said that she would examine me first to see how many centimetres I was and see if they could just break my waters first. Sorry if you can hear any noise, Lola's in the living room playing about with Daddy. Yeah, so she come in and examined me and she said it was all good. I was already 3 centimetres, I think she said, and my cervix and everything looked favourable. So she said I could go straight to labour ward and they could break my waters. I didn't have to have the proper induction. So I said that I wanted to go to the birth centre. She said that was all fine, but the lady was on her own and she couldn't break my waters yet. So just to go for a walk and wait for an hour, I think it was. So we went off for a walk, got some snacks and stuff, and went up to birthing centre. It was really quiet up there. I think at that point I was the only one up there. They were very hot on us washing hands. We had to wash hands and everything every time we went in because of the coronavirus and all that. We got seen to our own little room, and the midwife come in and broke my waters. So that was at 11:55. She come in and broke my waters. She said there wasn't really any water. She weren't sure if she'd done it right or not. But she said to go for a walk for an hour or so and then come back if my contractions got stronger, because at this point they were still like every 10 minutes and they were fine. Like I weren't having to breathe through them or anything. They were just stronger contractions. They were showing up as over 100 on the monitor, but I was fine. So we went off for a walk, went downstairs, and in our hospital downstairs, like there's like cafes and stuff. So we went and sat outside in the picnic area for Costa Coffee, and we just grabbed a sandwich and a drink and that, sat out there. And my contractions started getting stronger. They were like every 5 minutes to start with, and they was a lot stronger. Like when I was walking, I had to stop and start to breathe through them. So it did take a long time to get from the birthing centre right down, because that's on the top floor, right down outside to the picnic area. So we got there, had our lunch, and I was having strong contractions through lunch. Then we said, oh, let's just go back up to the room, just so that there was nothing about anyway. And with the coronavirus and everything going on, I didn't want to be out in the main hospital mixing with everybody else. So we just said, let's go back up to the room and I could bounce. There was a ball in there. I'll just bounce on the ball and stuff and we'll just wait in there. So we made our way back up to the room. By this point, the contractions were a lot stronger. I was having to stop, like I said, and breathe through them again. So it took us ages to get back up, because by this point they were coming like every 2 minutes. And then we got back to the room at about 10 to 2. And literally, we just got in the room, I sat on the ball, and I had a massive contraction. It was so painful. I was like nearly crying. And I said to Chris, you need to go and get me some gas and air now. This is awful. I can't breathe through these. If they're going to carry on like this, I can't do it. So he went and got the midwife. Now they would come in every 1 minute. So I'd have, the contractions would last a minute, and then I'd have a minute gap, and then I'd get another one. So the midwife come in with the gas and air, and she just said to me, like, try not to use it, because if you use it too soon, then it's not going to work during labour. Like, you don't want to use it too soon because your body would get used to it. So she just left it on the bed and said, don't use it until you really need to. She didn't seem to think that my contractions were anywhere near the end. She still thought I had hours left. So she went. She wasn't my normal midwife either. She'd gone to lunch when we went to lunch. She wasn't back yet. This was just a lady that was sat out on the nurse's station. So she went back out. And so I left the gas and air where it was. Then all of a sudden, I felt like I needed to go to the toilet, literally as soon as the midwife left. So I went into the toilet, couldn't go. And then the toilet door, like, at chest height had a handle, and I just remember hanging on there because it just felt easier just to hang on the door handle. And I said to Chris, like, I think I need to push, like I feel like I need to poo, and I could feel his head coming down. But I was telling myself, where the midwife had just been in and said, no, you've got hours, try not to use the gas and air, I didn't believe that it was his head. And I was like, every contraction I was crossing my legs and trying to sort of like stop myself, you know, like when you're trying to stop yourself from going to the toilet. I was doing that, which is silly, because yeah, I just thought, this can't be happening this quick. Like, we've literally just got back to the room, my waters were only broken 2 hours before, and I'd only just started having the strong contractions. So, and all my other girls' births were like days long, so I kept telling myself, no, you don't need to push, crossing my legs. And then a few more contractions later, I said to Chris, like, no, I need to push now, like, I cannot stop this anymore, I am pushing. So he didn't want to leave me, so he just pushed the buzzer. The midwife come running back in, and I said, like, I'm pushing, I need to push. And she just looked at me like I was crazy. And she was like, oh, well, just do what your body's telling you to do then. So I said, well, I need to push. So she said, well, lay on the bed. She couldn't examine me again because it hadn't been the 4 hours. So she said, I can't examine you to see what's happening. She said, lay on the bed and then I'll be able to just sort of look to see if I can see his head come in. But all the time she was saying it, she was sort of like looking at me like, this can't be happening. So literally it was like off a film. I was hanging over the bed shouting that I'm pushing. Chris was I was still fully dressed in my normal clothes. Chris was trying to take my leggings off, get me onto the bed, and within a couple of pushes she looked and she was like, oh yes, actually I can see his head coming. But I think what it was, where I was using the hypnobirthing, like breathing techniques, it was helping with the pain. Plus I have a higher pain threshold anyway. So that's why I think she didn't believe, because I had only just started then using the gas and air, and she took it off me once his head started coming out. So I literally had gas and air for not even 5 minutes. So that was at 2:10. So you see how quick it went from, so 10 to 2, I got back in the room and they started. So I think that really strong contractions that I had on the ball when I first come in, I think that was my transition phase. So now it's 2:10, I'm laying on the bed pushing, and at 2:15 my normal midwife comes running back in from lunch, like thinking she's going to miss it all. And by this point his head's coming out, and it was that point where like their head, you can feel the head coming down, you push and it comes out a little bit and then it goes back in. It's just so frustrating. So that went on for a few minutes, and I was just like, just laying there like, I can't believe this is happening. Is he really coming? And they was all like, yes, you need to push. And because I just couldn't believe it, where I had the others and I couldn't push with the contractions, I needed a drip. I couldn't believe that it was happening so fast, and I was just doing it myself. And then a few more pushes later, at 2:23, he was born. He came out with his cord wrapped around his neck. It was quite scary. But they got that off straight away, put him straight onto my chest for skin to skin. I wanted the next part to be natural as well, so I didn't have the injection to help the placenta come. We just waited for it to come by itself, and we waited for the cord to go white. So I done delayed cord clamping, and I think I pushed out the placenta and then they cut the cord, or Chris cut the cord. I think we done it like that. So that was after about 10 minutes, I think, I'm just checking my notes. I think the placenta come at 2:35. I took a picture of the screen. They had it on the computer with all the midwife's notes. I took a picture of that so I could remember it all for this video. So yeah, 10 minutes later I had the placenta and the cord cut, and then the midwife stitched me up. All the time I still had Henry on me doing skin to skin. Then she stitched me up. I had a 2nd degree tear, which wasn't too bad because with Abby, like I said, I tore really bad and had to have surgery. So that wasn't too bad. And when I was pushing, they used a cold compressed like they held a compress against my perineum while I was pushing to try and help, and done controlled pushing, so they told me when to push because they could obviously see if it was tearing and stuff, so that helped a lot. So if you're scared about tearing, definitely listen to your midwife and ask to have a compress. So yes, she stitched me up, then she left us alone for a few hours, so we got his nappy on. Chris gave him his first bottle because we're bottle feeding, and we FaceTimed the girls because by that point they was coming out of school at about 3:15. So we FaceTimed the girls, but obviously when my other births were really long, they hadn't expected me to have him by then. So they come on FaceTime and I was still laying on the hospital bed. So I just said like, oh, still here, haven't had him yet. And I was getting the after pains, so it was a bit painful. So I was like, oh, just getting another contraction. And then I said, oh, do you want to see Daddy? He's just sat here next to me. So I turned the camera around and then Daddy was sat there holding Henry, so they was really, really shocked. So that was nice because where they didn't get to come in and see him, we done that. So yeah, that was about 3:15. Then the midwife come back in and weighed him. He was £8.11 and we got him dressed and bundled up. And then we just had to hang around really and wait for the baby doctor to come in. I think she come at about 8:30 to check him over, and we got discharged at about 9:30, and we let the girls stay up late so that they could meet him. So we brought him home and they saw him at home. So that's about it really. So it's really lucky where it was so quick that I think all in all from they said on my notes that my labour was only 47 minutes. So literally I had waters broken at 12, say like 11:55, and I had him at 2:35. And like I said, the contractions weren't that painful. So I think had I been at home, I wouldn't have gone to hospital and I would have ended up having him on the kitchen floor or something. Plus it was lucky that we went up after lunch when we did because of the coronavirus, and we didn't want to be around people, because otherwise I would have ended up having him in that picnic area outside the hospital. So yeah, so I got the birth that I wanted with him. I got to go in the birthing centre. I'd done my hypnobirthing, only used gas and air for about 5 minutes. So yeah, it was much better than my previous experiences. I was really glad, and had he not been my 4th and we weren't done, then I said like, if every birth was like that, I'd have loads more. But we're not, we're done now. I'm just gonna go and get him so that you can meet him.
Today, Mummy's baby is born today, and I'm going to show you him today because he's doing the channel today and he's going to say hello to you. So, yes, go. Yes. Mummy.
Here he is. Oh.
And then
wanted to join and show you her baby brother, didn't you?
Yeah.
You've been talking to the camera.
Yeah, because...
So here he is. He's actually a month old already. He's 4 weeks. I'm a little bit late making this video, so he is bigger than he
Yes,
was.
he is, Mummy.
He's just woken up because I've picked him up.
Yes, because he looks so cute.
There he is. He's got his little tracksuit on today. And say hello to everybody. Oh, it's a hard life, isn't it, Henry? He's just woken up, very alert, looking around the kitchen. Isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he looking around?
Yeah. Why does Henry look around?
So there he is, a little boy after 3 girls. He's going to be sport rotten, isn't he, with you sisters?
Yeah.
You'll love him lots. They don't leave him alone, do they? Hey, you're looking at everyone. So, that was my birth story, and you got to meet Henry. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. So make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you for some more updates on this little man. We'll be doing hopefully monthly updates, so keep your eyes out for that. I'm going to film his 1 month update where, like I said, he's 1 month now, so I'll get that filmed and up for you. And that's it. You can say bye.
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 Bye. See you later. Subscribe and see you later. Bye.